Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. A lot of you may have just seen David Corenswet's Superman for Superman Legacy in various pictures wearing Henry Cavill's Superman suit. Even before James Gunn cast the new Superman, there was tons of fan art featuring different actors in Henry Cavill's Superman suit just because nobody knew what the new Superman suit was going to look like. But James Gunn recently revealed that David Corenswet did in fact actually wear Henry Cavill's Superman suit when they were testing for the character, so I'll explain why he had him do that. He told a couple funny stories about it too, and it wasn't meant to slight Henry Cavill in any way or pour salt on the wound because of all the Justice League actor recasting, and basically the studio kind of jerking Henry Cavill around before James Gunn ever came along. We also learned what's going on with the brand new live-action version of Supergirl that's going to appear in all of the upcoming DCU movies in James Gunn's new rebooted universe. So we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. It's the beginning of the year as me posting this video, and there are so many big announcements that they're going to be making in the next couple of weeks. But right now, you probably saw they're ramping up on production of Superman Legacy. They're getting ready to start filming, which is why you've been seeing teasers of the Fortress of Solitude with James Gunn, all the crew filming up in Norway in the frozen north. Like, why would they need to go to the frozen north for a Superman movie? Oh, wait a minute, that's right. But if you have no idea why James Gunn, of all things, would have David Corenswet's screen test to be Henry Cavill's replacement as Superman wearing his Superman suit, just talking about it sounds a little bit nuts. But in reality, it's a long-standing tradition for all superhero movies just in general at all studios, not just DC movies, but Marvel, other comic book movies, any movie that requires a super suit of some kind that costs a lot of money to make. People have been doing stuff like this for a long time. One of the best examples is Henry Cavill himself screen tested for his Superman in the Man of Steel movie for Zack Snyder while wearing Christopher Reeve's Superman suit. It was Zack Snyder that specifically wanted him to wear Christopher Reeve's Superman suit instead of wearing Brandon Routh's suit.
That's the guy. That's not only a movie star, that's freaking Superman, so that was cool. When he came out in the Superman outfit and just stood there in front of us. I was like, the first time I felt like he was a movie star on my set, looking at him, it was in his audition.
Mostly because that was Zack Snyder's preference, like he had fond memories of Christopher Reeve's Superman, as you do, as everybody does, much more so than Brandon Routh's Superman, so it was really just a personal preference kind of thing when they were auditioning for the Man of Steel movie. And the same is true for all other superhero movies that exist in like a long-standing franchise where people get recast over and over again. Like the director of each new comic book movie or a movie that requires a special supersuit will often have the actors screen test wearing the previous suits from the previous movie in the franchise, sometimes the last movie in a franchise, or sometimes older suits like in the case of Henry Cavill wearing Christopher Reeve's suit. Notice how much smaller Henry Cavill looks when he was screen testing for Man of Steel. Like he got way bigger, way more swole. They even turned it into a special workout video. It was like a whole big thing when Man of Steel came out. Do the Superman workout. One of the other best examples of this phenomenon in the DC movies specifically was Christian Bale when he was screen testing for Christopher Nolan in Batman Begins. He wore Val Kilmer's Batman suit for that, even though George Clooney was the most recent Batman before him. I guess Christopher Nolan didn't want to make Christian Bale or the other actors that he was testing against for Batman to wear the bat nipples. That would have been sadistic, like, no, you have to screen test for this, but you have to wear the nipples. In fact, this is Christian Bale, Cillian Murphy, and Ian Bailey all wearing Val Kilmer's Batman suit because they were all screen testing for Batman Begins.
Gotham needs you.
And you serve Gotham?
I serve justice. Who was with Falcone at the docks?
Who was with Falcone at the docks? I don't know, I swear to God.
Swear to me! It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
What in God's name are you?
I'm Batman.
It's totally nuts seeing them in Val Kilmer's suit. Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan now tell all kinds of funny stories about them doing that. They said that on the day when they were filming those scenes, the room where they were actually filming got super hot, so Christian Bale almost drowned in his own sweat inside that costume because the technology they used to create Val Kilmer's Batman suit was way more primitive, way less breathable, and just way less wearable than the modern superhero suits that you see. If you watch the Flash TV show, like there was an evolution of Grant Gustin's Flash costume, mostly for practical reasons. Like the final suit that he wore was meant to be like the most comfortable and the most breathable, as opposed to the original suit that he wore that gave him all kinds of crazy neck problems. James Gunn was also joking that when they were screen testing David Corenswet for Superman Legacy, he had trouble fitting into Henry Cavill's Superman suit because David Corenswet is so much taller than Henry Cavill, so he basically had to squeeze himself into that suit, even though Henry Cavill is already huge. You have to imagine them pouring Henry Cavill into his Superman suit and then David Corenswet being even bigger than that. But if it wasn't clear, David Corenswet will wear a totally different Superman suit in Superman Legacy, like they're building a completely different suit that doesn't look like any of the Superman suits that came before it. James Gunn's also said that none of the fan art that anybody's produced up to this point has even come close to what his Superman suit is going to look like, so forget what you think it's going to look like, because apparently nobody is even close to guessing. He also said that even though they're going to finish filming Superman Legacy this year, he's not going to release any trailers until next year, and he's actively trying to prevent anyone from actually getting a look at the new Superman suit until next year, but we'll see about that. I'll bet that at some point some teaser of the new suit leaks out somehow by the end of the year, or James Gunn just decides to release an official picture before the end of the year. That's usually how these things go. There'll be like a potato quality version that will leak out and it'll look terrible. The studio will then release a nice shiny HD version that just looks way, way better. Set your clocks for that. Like wait for the crappy leaked version and then the really nice shiny one that comes right after that. But the other really major Superman Legacy news is James Gunn is finishing casting the brand new Supergirl who will be in Superman Legacy. We don't know exactly what she's going to be doing in the movie. I'm guessing it's going to be more on the cameo level of role, but James Gunn went on this big kick about how important not stuffing in too many cameos to a movie was. And there's already so many characters in this movie, so it sounds like whatever Supergirl does in Superman Legacy, it will be critical to the plot, even if she's not in a ton of the movie. In most versions of the Superman and the Supergirl lore, the way they explain it is that Superman's pod wound up arriving on Earth first, even though Supergirl was much older when he was a baby. The whole idea is that Supergirl's father was sending her to Earth as well to guide Kal-El when he was growing up, teach him what he needed to learn about being a Kryptonian. But because physics and their relative flight paths caused his pod to land on Earth many years before hers, he basically grew up on Earth not knowing anything about his heritage until much later in his life. And it sounds like that's what they're going with during Superman Legacy. It'll be a version of that origin story. So my early guess right now, without seeing more footage of the actual movie, is that we'll see Supergirl as part of Superman's origin story when Krypton is getting ready to explode. Like we'll see her on Krypton also leaving the planet. Then at some point after the events of Superman Legacy, then they'll actually be meeting on screen, having more interactions on planet Earth. Maybe at some point during Superman Legacy, they'll reference Supergirl's pod also coming to Earth, but I'm not expecting her to be really big during present day because it sounds like most of the problems that Superman faces in Superman Legacy, he'll be doing as the only super person on planet Earth that's still alive. You have to remember there's going to be a lot of Kryptonian stuff happening inside the Fortress of Solitude in the movie. So technically there is a lot of Kryptonian stuff on Earth, but we might not have seen Supergirl actually make it to Earth until the end of the movie or after the events at the end of the movie. But she'll go on to be the DCU Supergirl that will appear in all the crossover movies and the solo Woman of Tomorrow movie that they're working on right now. Reportedly, it's between Millie Alcock and Meg Donnelly. I'm more familiar personally with Millie Alcock because of all the House of the Dragon Season 1 stuff. She played the younger version of Rhaenyra during the first half of Season 1. She did a great job in the Game of Thrones universe. I haven't seen too much of her other live-action work, but I think that she could pull off a pretty solid version of Supergirl. The funnier thing about Meg Donnelly, if you didn't realize or you haven't seen it yet, is that she is actually voicing Supergirl in the Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths movies that are coming out this year. There's going to be 3 of them.
Batman's right. I don't belong here. With Krypton gone, with Mom gone, I don't belong anywhere.
So if you've watched Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1, the movie version, the animated movie, you've actually already heard Meg Donnelly play a version of Supergirl. And it's so crazy that she looks like she could play live-action Supergirl. I would not have thought that just from hearing her voice. I've already done a couple Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths videos, so I'll post links down in the description below. But generally, between the two of them, Millie Alcock is a much bigger star. So right now, I'm betting on her over Meg Donnelly. But it's always possible James Gunn goes in a completely different direction, and I totally trust his casting instincts. So if he does cast someone else, I'll be totally fine with it. Let me know in the comments, who do you want to play that brand new version of Supergirl? There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. Henry Cavill, Speak of the Devil, also just teased his new Warhammer series. Click here for that brand new Henry Cavill Warhammer trailer. And click here for that brand new Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2 trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.